Well, hello there. We're going to look at Canadian bank stocks for today, August 30th, 2022. This is for entertainment purposes only and is not professional financial advice. Please seek the opinion of a professional. See what they've done over the past few time periods. We'll look at the past year, the past month, and kind of what they're doing now. And we'll start in alphabetical order. We'll start with BMO, and we can see here that just lately, over the past week or week and a half, it's been on a big downtrend. Just going with the overall market, macro environment, and so on. I think they reported earnings yesterday, but we'll stay away from all that stuff. We're just going to look at the price action. So that's the immediate effect. Overall, you can see since mid-March, it's been in a general downtrend with some upticks in hitting some resistance points. And overall for the year, BMO has been a wash. You're pretty much where you're at, where you started in early September of last year. Let's look at Bank of Nova Scotia next. Very similar. You can see the price action looks almost like a copy of a Bank of Montreal. Mid-March hit the peak, and it's been down generally ever since then. And over the past week, been down. Compared to last year, we are actually below. So about last year, we were here about $79, and it closed today at 73 and a half. So you'd be a little bit under if you were holding Bank of Nova Scotia. Moving on to Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, CIBC. Very similar story here. Again, you see these are all very, very similar, quite similar. So past week down, hit that peak in mid-March. And in general, in the past year, CIBC is down the most of what we've seen so far. Would have been at 56 last year, and now at 48. That's quite a big drop off. I'm going to skip these two regional banks and keep on with the big six. National Bank, similar story. You can see here down the past week and a half, hit the peak back in November, had a good peak in February. But you can see that general downtrend, and the moving averages are all heading downhill. And from the last year, it's down. So if it was at 94 or so, September last year, we're at 88. Next one, Royal. Same story here, guys. Not as much downtrend. We can do a percentage on that. I won't get too complicated right now, but you can see over the past week, it has gone downhill. Had some interesting moves up in the past week, and see those green bars. So it's fighting that downtrend a bit more maybe than the other ones we talked about. And overall, yeah, so if you're looking at from the end of August, September, we'd be a little bit down. 130 versus 123 closed today. And the last of the big banks, TD, you can see this one has a bit more, doesn't have that steep drop off. Still had some red days over the past week and a half, but not a steep decline like some of the other ones we've seen. So that one's interesting. That will be an interesting one to watch. Could be due to a number of factors. It could be outside of Canada, where TD is invested, or even inside of Canada where they see some of their business action. And in the past year, it's pretty much a wash. It's been pretty much at 80. Started the year, let's say, our 12-month window at 85, and it's at 85 now. So very similar story across all the big banks. If you have money either directly in the stock or in a mutual fund or ETF, something like that, you have been losing money pretty much since February, March. Big down, a big loss since then. Let's take a quick look at two regional banks that I like to keep a hold on. One is Laurentian Bank. You can see that this one has very different looking price action from the big banks. It's just been a bit choppy up and down within a range. So recently, in the past week or so, it has dropped and now is below or right at the most bottom moving average there. And from a year ago time period, it is below. So last September was at 42, we're at 40, so a little below, not a lot like the other ones. This one's an interesting one to watch just because the way that the price moves is different. Doesn't follow the same pattern as those big banks. And the last one we're going to look at today is Canadian Western Bank. This one does somewhat look like those big banks, but looks like a bigger drop anyway than some of those ones. And definitely from the year ago time period, it does have a bigger loss where about $37 and now is $25. So that's it. Just to give you an idea of where the banks are and what your mutual funds or ETFs or pension plans have been doing if they invest in any of the big banks.